Moscow. Both fighters are in their prime at 31. Both fighters have to duck under every single door frame, but at 6'7", Volkov is 2 inches taller. Interestingly, it's a slim reach advantage of half an inch for Greg Hardi. With the Octagon introductions, here's Joe Martinez.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. 3 rounds this in the UFC heavyweight division. Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner. He's a striker standing 6 feet 5 inches tall, weighing in officially 265 pounds. His professional record stands at 5 victories, 1 defeat, and 1 no contest. Fighting out of Coconut Creek, Florida, USA. Here is the Prince of War, Greg Hardi! And across the octagon, his opponent fighting out of the red corner. His background, karate and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. At 6 feet 7 inches tall, he weighed in officially 251 pounds. In 37 professional fights, his record, 30 victories, just 7 defeats. Fighting out of, representing Moscow, Russia, here is the number 7 rated heavyweight contender in the world, Alexander to the action, Leon Roberts.
Leon Roberts is the Octagon official, but he needs to be on his toes because it looks like Greg Hardi is about to sprint across the Octagon. He has been talking about his athleticism. He said it's no joke.
First round,
then we see Alexander Volkov looking light-hearted and smiling. Pressure seems to be on him. Greg Hardi stepping in. Actually, tied for 5th fastest turnaround in UFC history, 22 days between fights.
This is where the pedigree, the experience of Volkov comes into play. He can play a lot of striking games. He can set traps with Greg Hardi. Just as he did with Derek Lewis, he was able to beat him up to the body. He was able to wear him out, keep him at a distance.
Oh, nice footwork there and shift of weight by Hardi. He has won all of his wins by first-round knockout. Alexander Volkov with that karate base.
Oh, left hook there. A nice jab from Volkov.
What I thought was very interesting was just the way in which Hardi's mind works, and he's stepping up for his teammate JDS. He saw it as his responsibility for the man down, and also to repay the debt to the UFC for all the opportunities that they have given him.
This is a great learning experience for him. You know, win or loss, there are lots of things to be gained from this fight. Obviously, a win is massive, but here's the takedown. Oh, no. Volkov straight up against the fence there. He was able to get a long leg to the floor. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, though, if we saw Greg Hardi work a takedown here.
So much experience in a way of Alexander Volkov. He has 30 professional wins to his resume. The opponents that Hardi has fought, their wins total 31 combined. Stats.
And you've got to think that Volkov has faced big power punches in his past. You know, he's used his kickboxing skills to be able to keep himself out of danger and get those fights won.
Well, Brett was mentioning the countdown against Derek Lewis. He was winning it, and then things like they do in the heavyweight division, they turn around pretty quickly.
I think he just felt like he was so comfortable in that fight, cruising to a distance, you know.
He got complacent.
Yes. And I think the difference between Derek Lewis and Greg Hardi is that Derek Lewis and Greg Hardi both punch like a truck, but I feel like Greg Hardi's probably going to be able to cover distance much quicker.
Well, Hardi's he's had a few views on the power of Derek Lewis recently as well. Volkov is such a respectful martial artist.
And you see, I mean, to his credit, Hardi already looking much more calm in there, relaxed, pumping the jab out there, and showing a lot of patience. I mean, you know, this is not the Greg Hardi we saw in the Contender Series. This is not the one we saw in his debut. It's just much more patient. He's not hunting just a knockout blow, but I think he would benefit from a little more of that to try to throw off Volkov. The longer this fight goes, the more Volkov's going to get into his own rhythm and be able to figure him out.
7 professional fights for Greg Hardi, and he's in the co-main event on enemy territory in Moscow. A lot of talent. He spent his life as a professional athlete. He believes he can move like no one else in that division.
He hasn't really thrown too many looping overhands either. Just kind of pumping this jab out there. A couple leg kicks. Nice stiff jab there from Volkov.
Hardy's, the occasion doesn't seem to have gotten to him either. He's settling right into this battle.
I think there's also a peace of mind knowing that he is taking this fight on short notice against a guy that's got so much more experience than him. So there is everything to gain and nothing to lose, really.
Yeah, maybe just go for broke, right?
Right.
But that being said, he's not fighting like that at least,
no,
right?
No.
I mean, the mentality in him and being relaxed in there, suits that. But as far as him just being like, oh, wired up, I'm just going to try to get him out of there.
Oh, that was a nice right hand as Greg Hardi circled. And something that Brett mentioned on the walkouts as well, which I think is key to remember.
Oh, nice left hook there.
Oh, 2 big left hooks.
Is that, Greg Hardi, as a football player, is used to having a fast turnaround. You play one game, it ends, win or lose, you move on to the next one immediately. I would imagine that the fast turnaround is much more suitable for an athlete of his mentality.
And he said he's able to do that because in football, there's so much more science and everyone's looked after so much better. They spend every waking moment taking care of themselves, which is why we see this frequency of action from him. Welcome back to Moscow. We are just about to head into the second round. Big smiles from both fighters, but Dan, we saw there's a very significant piece of information that we learned from Greg Hardi.
Yes, his right hand is injured, which is a big problem for him, knowing full well that the big right hand over the top is his key to winning this fight. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the fight's not winnable for him, because as a powerful athlete, he's got other weapons that he can utilize. But his most comfortable weapon is somewhat disabled, which is an issue for him to work around. It's going to test his adaptability as a mixed martial artist.
Learning more lessons than he probably planned for, Paul, but he's been told to double up on that left hand as well and aim at the chest.
Yeah, and I think he needs to do that, double up on that jab, and then do what he was doing with that leaping in left hook. He's got a good chance of coming over the top and catching Volkov with that as well. But the more we see that coming out of Volkov, the more he's in trouble.
Snappy jab there from Volkov.
Threw it there.
Well, remembering that Hardi gets his work done early, we're now in the second round, and Volkov was preparing for a 5-round fight against Junior Dos Santos, who got an infection and was forced to withdraw from the contest. Volkov still seeking that fight, and perhaps against Alistair Overeem, but he does see name value in Greg Hardi, who's obviously well known to fans in the US.
So I've just been shown a replay on my monitor of a kick that was blocked by Greg Hardi away from his body, and it looked like he took the kick right on the side of his wrist. And I remember Randy Couture was once affected by the same kick. He was caught on the wrist and it broke. I mean, we don't know exactly whether that's it, but something certainly caused an issue for the hand.
Yeah, and if that's the case, that's worse than even a broken hand.
Yes.
At least a broken hand, your hand's wrapped, it's in a glove. But if your forearm is broken, everything that you do, you feel that vibrating through your arm, and it hurts.
Hardi believes that he has the correct mindset and background to really be able to develop in this sport. He said when you're playing football, you're given a 45-page game plan every single week that you've got to commit to memory, then throw it away and get ready for a new one the next week.
Yeah, not only has he been testing his physical capacity, but his mental capacity as well in that environment.
Yeah, and he's absorbing all this new information, and that's why he's able to evolve so quickly between fights.
Jab to the body's working well. He threw the right hand to the body then, but he didn't put any power behind it. I wonder whether maybe he can set up a left hook off it. This is exactly what we expected from Volkov, though. Picking his opponent off at range, staying disciplined, showing us how much of a veteran he is of this game. Nice overhand right from Greg Hardi.
It's a shame, because if that hand wasn't hurt, that might have been more impactful, but...
Well, back in September of 2012, Greg Hardi actually broke his thumb early in the season, but still managed 11 sacks that season. So he's fought through the adversity before.
So funny to hear you say sacks, John.
Should I say quarterback sacks?
No, you're right.
Sacks is good.
You got it.
Yeah. I've watched a little bit. London Monarchs back in the day.
London Monarchs.
My big foam finger up jabbing the air. It's a big fan.
That Peter Griffin played for the London Monarchs, didn't he?
Had the coat and everything. Anyway, nice. Lovely front kick. I love the way Volkov uses straight attacks.
Yeah, and he does go so well to the body, especially with his kicks.
And you could see the effect that those body kicks had on Derek Lewis in that fight, even to the point where Derek Lewis was doubled over with his hands on his knees up against the fence.
Volkov has had Sergey Pavlovich in camp, who's got a similar kind of build to Hardi, and obviously a very successful mixed martial artist. Got a big win out in Singapore a couple of weeks back.
Hardy's still trying to throw that right hand. I mean, a spinning back fist there. Paul's wincing at the side of us.
Yeah, because that thing is broken. Whew. It hurts.
Volkov more accurate. Similar kind of output from both of these behemoths.
Utilising that lead leg so well, whether it's a front kick, a body kick, or a head kick.
No switch involved. Just picks it up. Boop. And for a guy that tall to do that with that big of a leg, impressive.
Yeah, these body kicks are really good from Volkov. And it's starting to affect the way that Greg Hardi's moving into range as well.
Yeah, because when he rushes in, that's when he just picks that lead leg up right to the body.
Last 10 seconds. But we're going to follow Greg Hardi back to his corner and see if he gives us any clues about his injury.
All right, just give me some deep breaths. Just give me some deep breath. Okay, so... All right. I know the right hand is damaged, but you gotta at least put it in his face to set up that left hook. Okay? So at least...
Just be careful the fingers don't come up for me, okay? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, now it's important to know that we are only speculating, but this is the shot that we saw. Volkov throws a kick, and you can see Greg Hardi blocks it away from his body.
Gentlemen,
and that oftentimes can be a problem when you're taking a shin to a forearm like that. The bones aren't quite as strong.
Oh.
We don't know for sure, of course, but that could be the problem that was caused.
Volkov managed to weave his massive foot in between the defenses and catch Hardi on the chin.
Hardi coming out at least aggressive here in this third round. He knows he's got to bite down, get in there, and try to make something happen. Whether your hand's hurt or not, if you're still in this fight, you got to get in there and throw.
Well, he's in the third and final round,
which is
Alexander Volkov, the number 7 heavyweight in the world.
There's an eye poke there.
That was a knuckle, that was a knuckle.
Apparently not. Apparently a knuckle.
Doesn't matter, though. Greg Hardy still wants to keep going.
Yeah, good point.
Good jab by Volkov. Spearing jab through the guard.
I really enjoyed his fight with Stefan Struve, which we called.
Nice angle change there from Volkov. Slips off to the side, lands his own strikes.
He can work on a process of attrition sometimes, Volkov. I do believe that he does better over 5 rounds these days. But he just breaks people down.
It looked like the shot that caught Greg Hardy in the eye looked like the knuckle of the thumb of Volkov.
Good eye there from the ref.
Leon Roberts, one of the very best in the game. Very experienced. You guys are talking about maybe a takedown from Hardy. Is that something that you still maintain he should try and do, or would the right hand, being the way that it is, just not be a good idea because he's always going to lose power on that side?
I thought he might come out and try and work a takedown early just for the surprise factor of it, but I think with the right hand being hurt, he's far more likely to maintain this kind of pace on the feet and just try and land that clean left hook. He keeps working to the body. I keep expecting to try and come up around the side of the guard because Volkov's got such good defense. He does tend to catch. He does tend to catch punches with his palms, and that does open up that opportunity to come around the side of the guard, especially if you can cover distance so quickly and you can commit to the shot. Oh!
Volkov living up to his strike rate, second highest strike rates in UFC heavyweight history. Of course, came with the #1.
Penny kick again. Just pick it.
Got to go for it here. But with that, you know, I'm curious to find out what the injury is to the arm or hand or what's going on, because he really has not thrown much of that right hand at all in this fight.
He's disguising it well, though, because Volkov hasn't. I don't think Volkov can see that this is a problem for him.
So sharp with his straight punches is Volkov. I always like to see a fighter that's got a height and reach advantage really utilize it to the best of their ability. So often we see the taller guys, particularly at heavyweight, get closed down very fast.
Yeah, they just oftentimes fight to the size of their opponent. If they're shorter, end up fighting in that closer range. It's a bad habit for some tall guys.
Some bruising on the shin bone of Volkov. There's some swelling as well. Oh! The dexterity of that lead leg is incredible.
Yeah. It's a lot of leg to lift up and flick out.
I'm going to find a can of Monster Energy drink after the show and see if you can kick it off your head, Paul.
Yeah. Let's do that. I'll bet he can. I trust him.
I know.
The interesting thing was I actually visited Volkov, this camp in Moscow, and the cage that they've got in that gym is about 20 times smaller than what we see in front of us. It's like he throws a jab and it's hitting the other side of the fence.
Another beautiful body kick from Volkov. No chamber, just, no switch. Does chamber.
Oh, what was that, the mouthpiece? Something went flying out of the octagon.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it was tape.
Was it tape?
Tape.
It would have been much more dramatic if it was a mouthpiece.
It would, John.
You mean gum shield?
I don't know what you mean.
Greg Hardy's trying to get fired up here, but Volkov's just so accurate, so consistent with his striking.
He's picking him apart from the outside.
And what this does, I mean, 20 seconds left. You've got to feel like Volkov's running away with this decision.
Oh, lovely stutter step there from Volkov to land that jab.
What this does for Hardy is it shows him where the level is at heavyweight in the top 10. This is great for him to go back to the gym and go, okay, I know the level I need to raise my game to now to compete with these guys.
Yeah, this definitely not a lost cause there for Greg.
No,
this is something he can hang his head up and be like, okay, I just went 3 rounds.
UFC Fight Night is brought to you by P3, the official protein snack of UFC. And the background there is St. Basil's Cathedral, recognised as a symbol of the country, a real masterpiece consecrated in the 16th century. Time now to hear what the judges thought of this one. Here's Joe.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards. All 3 score it 30-27. Your winner by unanimous decision from Moscow, Russia, Alexander Drago.